Good morning. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam. Asher nosan l'sechvi vina lahavchin ben yom uvein laila. We're going to delve into the first bracha today. Last week we had an introduction to Birchaos HaShachar, and we saw the powerful words of the Kuzari, where he explained that brachos in general were instituted by Chazal in order to help us fully appreciate and derive pleasure from this world. The bracha gives us that moment of contemplation to really be misbonen and focus on what we're about to experience, and that itself enhances the experience. That was the Kuzari. Then we saw the Yesod V'Shoresh Avoda, and he explained that the idea of Birchaos HaShachar and brachos in general is that Chazal instituted all of these opportunities for saying brachos to be able to live with an ongoing awareness that HaKadosh Baruch Hu was with us at all times in life. And that's really what we saw from the Gemara Menachos. The Gemara says we learn from the pasuk of Ata Yisrael Ma Hashem Lakecha Shol Mimach. We learn from there the obligation of saying Meya Brachos B'chol Yom. And the Marsha pointed out that, similar to the Yesod V'Shoresh Avoda, the reason why the obligation of saying Meya Brachos B'chol Yom is embedded in the pasuk of Ma Hashem Elokecha Shol Mimach Ki'im L'Yira is that through the Meya Brachos we're able to have that ongoing recognition and awareness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So now we jump in, Birchaos HaShachar. The title was the first four brachos, Sheker V'Chazav. We'll do the first bracha today. Anyone came only because it was the first four brachos, you could leave. It's okay. Josh, good day. Okay, so the nusach of the bracha we have in Shas, and that's true for all Birchaos HaShachar. There is a little bit of a nuance. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam. So that will be the same throughout all of the brachos. Baruch atah. I'm speaking directly to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You are the source of all reality and blessing. Hashem is Adon HaKol, the infinite Borei Olam, who's the ongoing creator of all. Elokeinu, who's in totally control of my life, the Hashgacha Pratis. Elokeinu, he's our God. Melech HaOlam, the controller of the entire universe. Asher Nasan. Now right there, Asher Nasan, translation is, who gave, L'sechvi, to the Sechvi. And we'll explore that in a moment. Who gave to the Sechvi Vina understanding, Lahavchin, to discern, or to distinguish, Ben Yom uvein Laila, between day and night. According to the Girsa of Rav Moshe Cardavera and the Arizal, it's not Asher Nasan, but it's Hanosein, which the difference is Hanosein would be translated as who gives. Okay, our Girsa is Asher Nasan. So we're thanking Hashem. This is the very first bracha of the Birchaos HaShachar, thanking Hashem for giving the Sechvi understanding to distinguish between day and night. So this is paraphrasing a pasuk in Iyov, and this is in the famous parak Lamed Ches, where Kadosh Baruch Hu is speaking to Iyov and explaining that there's so much about the mysteries of the universe that are well above and beyond your understanding. Misach batuchos chachma, who gave wisdom in all of the hidden places. Omi nosan l'sechvi vina, or who gave the sechvi understanding. Rashi says, sechvi zet tarnagol. Sechvi is a rooster, and that we have in Shas as well. That's Lashon Chachamim. So according to that first interpretation of Rashi, the pasuk in Iyov, which is the basis of our bracha, would be, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is telling Eov, Mi nosen l'sechvi vina, who gave understanding to the rooster. V'yesh omrem, others say that sechvi zehalev is the heart. It's referring to the human heart. Shehu socha mechashiv es nolodos, because the language of socha is a language of seeing, because the wisdom that was given into the heart of man allows us to be able to see and calculate nolodos, that which will be in the future. Like the Gemara says in Maseches Tamid, Ezu chacham haroes hanolad. So we have two interpretations of sechvi. One is rooster, tarnagol, the other is leiv, the human heart. If you look through all the Mefarshim, all the Rishonim on Eov, it becomes very clear that the Iker understanding of sechvi is referring to the human heart. The Ramban says, Hu leiv ki hu hamevin. V'nikra sechvi, why is the leiv called sechvi? Ki hu atzofel mashkif ala devarim v'yodam. Because the heart has the ability to analyze and be mistakel, to see what's the different pieces of reality, and then to understand them. Ula yikru tarnagol kain. So why is the tarnagol called sechvi? Meaning, if sechvi can mean both tarnagol and leiv, so then the question is the starting point that sechvi really means heart? And it's also, that's the word HaKadosh Baruch Hu chooses for tarnagol. Or it could be the opposite way. The word for tarnagol is sechvi, and it's mistaver, it's reasonable that term should also be used for the human heart. The Ramban seems to be saying that sechvi means heart. It's used for the tarnagol as well, because the tarnagol, like the Gemara says in Beya, is a Baal Lev. It's a Baal Lev, a master of the heart. The Gemara in Beya says that Oz ba'ofos tarnagol, the brazen amongst the birds is the tarnagol. Ve'ikar akosav ala lev yadaber. However, the Ramban says, like the other Mefarshim, that the ikar intent of the pasuk is referring to the heart. So accordingly, when we say Birchaos HaShachar Elokeinu melech haolam, asher nasan l'sechvi vina, what we have in mind is, who gave understanding to my heart, lehavchin bein yom uvein laila, to discern between day and night. Now, even before analyzing this more closely, just the realization that the very first bracha of Birchaos HaShachar, before getting into the details of my identity and the blessings that I have, the very first bracha is focused on the mere fact that I have consciousness, that I'm alive, that I'm aware, that I have Bina. We'll have to explore what Bina means in this context. But I think we could understand, even before getting deeper into the bracha, why it makes a lot of sense this should be the very first blessing. We're thanking HaKadosh Baruch Hu for our consciousness, for our awareness, for our ability to think and feel, and everything that comes. When Chazal used the term leiv, leiv, we know, it doesn't just mean, it's not just referring to the heart that's pumping blood, but there's always a connotation of understanding, of intellect. Leiv is very much intimately connected to seichel. So that's what the bracha seems to be focused on, and therefore it's very reasonable. This should be the first bracha before anything else. Thank you for just being alive and aware and conscious. But I want to share with you 3 questions on this bracha. Question number 1. If sechvi is primarily referring to the human heart, then why not just say leiv? It's nice to quote a pasuk in Eov, but that just confuses things. If the ikar bracha is I'm thanking Hashem for my awareness and my ability to be mavchin, So just say leiv, hanosein, or asher nosan leleiv bina.
Yeah, you don't need a heart.
What's that?
You can scratch that out and just give me Bina. The heart doesn't need anything.
Meaning, why say heart at all? Okay, it's a good question. Now, it seems, though, that from the fact Chazal are choosing this pasuk and using the word sachvi, there is a clear and deliberate connection being made to sachvi in the pasuk. There's something about sachvi that could also mean tarnagol that Chazal felt that meaning was significant for the bracha that we're saying. So we'll go through the questions. A question on the question? Right, so Chazal don't speak about the term moach, which is what's used in modern Hebrew.
The reason why probably the Tarnagol is because to differentiate between day and night.
Are you already giving an answer? Oh, we're not looking for answers yet. We first have to appreciate every question independently, and then we'll look for answers. Okay. Right, but the question is not why not use moach, but why sechvi? We do use leiv all throughout Psukim and Tanakh, all throughout Chazal. Just say, asher nosan leleiv bina. The second question I want to explore is that in the pasuk, the idea of Hashem gave the tarnagol bina is a little bit misleading. Roosters don't have bina. Their brains are about this big. Their ability to sense that the morning is here is not based on any real intellectual process. Now, I actually did some research into how do roosters know. What's that? A table talk? Oh, I never read those. Okay. What did it say?
You can even lock a rooster into a room that never see the sun. They don't know, and they still know what it's going to happen.
Yes. The Mefarshim said that as well. Okay. So there's something intrinsically implanted in the rooster where there's this reaction, but there's no bina. There's no thought process that's happening. Bina generally, right, comes from the word bona. We have chachma, bina, and das. So chachma is wisdom that I am able to learn through hearing from somebody else, through reading something, through life experience. And then bina is taking that chachma and building from it, being mavin davar mitoch davar. And that's more of like the me that's connected to gaining wisdom, is I take chachma and then I build from that. And then you have das, which is the integration, the absorption of that knowledge. But to say that Hashem gave bina to a tarnagol is just not, it's not really what's happening. It's not a bina. There's no building that's going on intellectually. It's just a natural reaction. And a third question I want to explore is, in the context of human understanding, if the main pshat in the pasuk that sechvi is referring to leiv, and that's what we're thanking Hashem for, why would you choose this particular example of havchana? Wow, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, thank you so much for giving me consciousness, for implanting in my heart bina, to be able to discern between day and night. You can't think of something more subtle, more nuanced. It sounds pretty basic. When a kid is 3 years old and it's dark outside, it's nighttime. When it's light outside, it's the morning. Okay? So if we're choosing one example that demonstrates the bina that Hashem gave us to discern, to distinguish within this world, the power of Havdalah, why choose something so pashut? I think those are three wonderful questions. No, just a little positive reinforcement. I think these are three wonderful questions. And the reason we ask questions is because otherwise a shiur would be boring. You're not answering anything if there are no questions to begin with. No, but in truth, the reason we ask questions is because questions are the Pesach to get to a deeper understanding of whatever it is we're learning. Sheilas chacham chatzi tshuva. This is quoted in a few places throughout Chazal. It's not really a Chazal. It's quoted more in the Achronim. That Sheilas chacham chatzi tshuva means if you're able to ask a wise question, the question itself leads you at least halfway to the answer. Okay. So let's go on a quick journey together. We'll start with the Piyazetzna. Zecher Tzadik v'Kodesh Levracha Hashem Yinkom Dama v'Schuso Yogan Eleinu. The Eish Kodesh tells us in his Sefer Hachsharas Avreichim, Emer Me'ata Afilu Im Yite Mishu Leimar Shehislavus Ba'avoda Rakaliyahi. One might make the mistake and say that having a fire, having an emotional connection in his avoda, it's an aliyah, it's a high madrega. Shirak b'nei aliyah tzrichim lishtadollah. So the holy people, they work on their hislavos. V'lo kol echad, but that's not something for the masses. V'afilu im yifatcha yitzrucha leimar sheyachol ataliyos avrek chosid below hislavos. And even if your Yetzer Hara would convince you that it's possible to be a real chassid without a fire in the soul. And then he says in brackets, Av she'ein mochi. Here we have mochi. Av she'ein mochi yochel lahasig b'shum ofen eich u'b'ma tiyeh chassid im lo b'hislavus reishis chasidus derech hanavim. I don't even understand how you could possibly have that thought. How in the world do you consider yourself a chassid if there's no fire in the soul? But let's say you were going down that path of a below hisragshus, reishis hisorus hanefesh al kolpanim, shanurotzim lo'ore bacha. I'm telling you that without a little bit of that stirring of the neshama, kavar kol echad yodeu mevin she'efsher likare chassid, we all know intuitively you can't really be a chassid. This reminds me of the Joey Newcomb song, right? How does that go?
You can't be a Sioni unless you love Eretz Yisrael, but you could be a...
You can't be a chassid? You can't be a chassid of what? Does he say unless you have hislavos belev? Probably not. Okay, but the Bizatzna is saying you can't be a chassid unless you have real fire of the soul. V'lo od elegam ovid Hashem poshet ef sharlios bedas bilvad. Forget about trying to be a chassid. You want to be an Oved Hashem, you can't be a servant of God if you're complacent with just an intellectual understanding of truth. Just knowing that this is good, this is bad, this is truth, this is sheker, that alone is not sufficient even to be a Pashat Oved Hashem. And he gives the example. He says, theoretically, if you have a son who is a total behema, mamish behema gasa, there's no sensitivities of the soul that you're picking up on yet. Basically, teenager, right? Kid who's mamish just like not involved with anything. And you as the father theoretically could guide him, right? Don't take it personally. You could guide him, and you could make sure that he's always doing the right things and avoiding the wrong things. So would you now look at this Behema Gasa and say, oh, this is an Oved Hashem? It's not you. It's your father who's just controlling you and directing you in the same thing is true within me. The same, just one person. If there's nothing going on within me internally, I don't have any hargosha, any sensitivity to ruchnius, any emotional connection to what I'm doing. It's just the seichel telling me do that and avoid that. So it's the same thing as having my father directing me what to do. That's not an Eved Hashem. So this is one paragraph in the Pizetzna, but we know this is true not just in the world of Hasidus, this is true in the world of Musar and Machshava. We understand that to be an Eved Hashem, it requires much more than an intellectual awareness of truth. The goal of everything that we're doing is that it should be very much part of who I am. It's my essence. Now, here's an interesting question. Do we assume that all of the lofty madregas of Ava and Yira and Devekus, are all of those qualities implanted within the human heart and soul? Or are those things we have to work on acquiring? That really they're external, and our avoda is we have to try to bring them in.
It could be that they're in there, their DNA is there. You just have to.
Stealing my thunder again. It's okay. It's all right. He's here for one Shabbos and he thinks he owns the place, It's okay. So let's take a look. We have what seems to be a contradiction in the Ramchal. The Ramchal in the very beginning, his introduction to Mesilas Yesharim writes, Ein divrei chasidus v'inyanei hayira v'ha'ava v'taras halev. All of these areas of kedusha, yira, ava, taras halev, they're not mutboyim ba'odam ad shelo yitzruchu emsoim liknosam. They're not implanted within the neshama to the point where you don't need means of acquiring them. Elavadai shetzrichim heim le'emsoim u'letachbulos liknos osam. Don't think they're there naturally. And the examples he gives, what's natural? I'm hungry. I'm thirsty. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol enei b'dvaro. I'm tired. These are all things that come naturally. You don't have to work on being tired, right? It's always there. It's always following me around. However, when it comes to Inyane of Chasidus and Yira and Ava and Taras Alev, those are things you have to work on. You have to strategize in order to acquire them. Vaday shetzrichim heim le'emtsoim u'letachbulos liknos lehem. However, says the Ramchal in the Derech Eitz Chaim, Ramchal here gives one of his famous mishalim. He says that Chachma kvar nitna min HaKadosh Baruch Hu belev kol b'nei Adam. Wisdom was given by Hashem into the heart of every human being. Ach kedei shetisgaber tzarich oso hapeh hamekayim oso yenashev b'koach. So the mashal is you have coals, you have ambers, and you have to fan those coals to be able to bring out the fire that's really there b'koach in potential. We do that through the peh. Peh doesn't just mean speaking, but through the whole process of machshava and dibur. That through that process of machshava and dibur, tilahe ta'chachma, it's able to ignite, right? To bring that chachma that's implanted within the human heart, a flame. Ela shelo hayanaros, but it's just not seen. It's not felt in the present. Ki lo hayanira ki im chachma. The only thing that's seen superficially is chachma. Shehi seichel atzmo, meaning general intellect. That's something that's right there. Acha tavuna, however, the tavuna, that's a type of cheese in Israel, right? No, that's tenuva. No, close, okay. Acha tavuna, hi binas haseichel, hamechaberes davar el davar, umechayemes davar bedavar. But the idea of Bina, where I'm actually building off of the Chachma, that's something that's not on the surface. And without the Pu'ula, without my engagement in fanning those coals, it will remain in potential, it will not be actualized. V'nimtza, says the Ramchal, she'chachma kavar nitna, v'hapeh eino ela mekayim osa. Achadas v'hatavuna hein mischadshos, dahainu shemischadesh geluyan tamid, rak b'koach neshivas hapeh. Chachma is there. I'm learning all the time. I'm experiencing things. I'm remembering things. I'm learning from my friends and from my mentors and from my mitalmida yoser mikulam. That's all right there. But the bina, which is more of the nochi, of what I'm doing with that wisdom, what I'm building, with that which I'm formulating, that requires fanning of the coals to bring out that fire. And this is an obligation. Hu chov motel al adam losim atzmo lehisbonein. An obligation we all have to bring out that fire. V'sof davar yitein din v'cheshbin lifnei melech malchei emlochim hakadosh baruch hu ad shelo nishtamesh min hachachma u'min hakoach asher hadbiya bo lasos chayil. And I'll be held accountable for not utilizing, for not fanning those coals and bringing forth that fire. It's within me. So one could ask the question superficially, what the Ramchal writes in the Derech Eitz Chaim seems to be somewhat in contrast or in contradiction to what he's saying in the introduction to the Mesilas Yesharim. The Mesilas Yesharim is saying these ideas of Ava and Yira and Taharas Alev, they're not mutboim ba'adim, they're not implanted in the person to the point where there's no need to try to acquire them, but rather you have to acquire them. And then in the Derech Eitz Chaim, the Ramchal saying, that's mamish within. The koach, the potential is there. Your obligation is to fan it, process it, utilize that bina. So why is this obviously not a contradiction? Because what the Ramchal is saying is that all of these milas, all of the incredible, lofty madregas that we're striving for, of Ava and Yira and Taharas Halev, those are within my heart, within my soul. They're not there superficially where there's no need to learn how to bring them out. When he says in the beginning of the Mesilas Yesharim, we have to gain those tools to acquire. To acquire doesn't mean I'm getting something externally and I'm bringing it in. To acquire liknosa means I have to learn how to bring it out of myself, to acquire it and bring them to more of a conscious state. But all of those incredible lofty madregas of the mind and the heart, they're within me. So how does this answer our questions? We had a question, why, if the Iker interpretation of Sechvi is the human heart, why not just say Leiv? Why B'davka make this clear and deliberate connection to a tarnagel? So one could answer, because just thinking of a rooster is inspiring, right? Just something about, that red thing hanging down from its neck. It's misorer, hislavus. But what's pshat? And then the second question was, the tarnagel doesn't have any actual understanding in the sense that it's doing something. It's instinctual. So to address those first two questions, and I want to leave the third one on the side for a moment, and this is an idea that Baruch Hashem I found in many svarim. The idea seems to be, we're thanking Hashem not just for having the ability, that my heart has the ability to understand and to contemplate and to discern, but we're thanking Hashem for something deeper. You've placed that discernment within me. Asher nosen l'sechvi vina. You've given me that bina. That understanding is all implanted within my heart and soul. That's the connection. That's by dafka we want to choose the pasuk in Iyov. L'sechvi. The Tarnagol has no consciousness in the way that we could relate to. There's no thought process that's happening in the rooster. What's happening is something that's biologically true. This had been implanted. This ability to feel the coming of the day, that's within the Tarnagol. And that's why B'dafka Chazal say, don't use the word leiv in the bracha. Use the exact wording of the pasuk in Iyov. Asher nosen l'sechvi vina. You've given my heart, bina, but emphasizing the fact that it's not just an ability that I have to acquire something that's outside of me, that's external to who I am, but it's within me. You've placed this within me. It's instinctual. It's indigenous. It's who I am. It's my essence. Let's take a look here. This is from the Sefer Tali Oros, quoting from the Avnei Shoham on page 4. Nira kisechvi zeu chush hativi. This is something that's natural. To chushas halev. Hayodeya lahavchin b'devarim v'lishpot osam b'ofen tivi. Lo mikoach yadiya, ela mikoach natiya v'dachaf panimi. It's not because I'm smart. It's not because I'm intellectual. It's because I'm compelled internally. There's an inner recognition of truth and wisdom that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has placed within me. Al chush tivi zeh shel hargoshes halev. And it's regarding this intuitive understanding that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given us. That's what we have in mind when we say Asher nosen l'sechvi vina. Thank you, Hashem, for creating me with this understanding as part of who I am. And I think that answers beautifully why Chazal are using that phrase sechvi, and it also refers to, or it answers why the pasuk in Iyov is telling us that Hashem gave Bina to the Tarnagol. Bina in the sense of not a thought process, but something that's mamish implanted in the very essence of that creature. But I want to get to the third point here. Now the goal is, although we're getting involved with a few different sources in each bracha, the objective of these shiurim is not to present, here are 14 different pshatim in each bracha. And with each pshat, there'll be an A, B, and C of different nuances in how to say it. The goal is to come out with something we could actually hold on to and be machavin when we're saying the words of the bracha. Now, sometimes it's a journey to get there. But don't let the journey convolute what we're trying to achieve. We're trying to achieve something very basic and realistic to implement as we're saying the bracha. So regarding the third question, why choose the ability to be mavchin ben yom and laila? That seems like such a pasha distinction. We could do so much more than that. So this is an idea I found also in many of the Svarim. Here's one example from Lakutei Ein Yaakov. That many of the Mefarshim say that when we're thanking Hashem for giving the human heart the internal ability to know the difference between day and light, we're not limiting that bracha to daytime and nighttime, but those are simanim. Ki ikar hashevach lehavchin ben yom uvein laila eino rak al havchana hapshuta. This is not just referring to the simple discernment of the moment of Birchaos HaShachar. Ella sheyom v'layla misamin tov v'ra. Yom is a siman to tov, and laila, darkness and confusion, is a siman to ra. HaKadosh Baruch Hu nosen la'adam koach miyuchad b'libo, that Hashem gave to a human being a unique ability Lahovin uledas al yodo ma tov u'mahu ra, ma or u'mahu choshech. To know intuitively, this is true, this is good, this is yom. And to know intuitively and to call it out when you see it, that's choshech. That's laila mamish, that's ra. The bracha is, not only did you give us consciousness and awareness that we're alive and we could take in all of the information around us and within us, you've implanted the ability within my heart, not just the capacity to gain something that's outside of who I am. Everything is within me. All of the highest madregas of Ava. Ava referring to my Ava of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and Ava referring to my Ava of all of my fellow Yidden and the Mishpacha and Klal Yisrael. And the Yira and the Taharas Halev and the Devekas HaNefesh, all of that you've implanted within me. Asher nosan l'sech vivina. Lehavchin bein yom uvein laila. To be able to distinguish intuitively and naturally between that which is good and that which is ra, between that which is true and that which is sheker. And we've been zocha, and I say that facetiously, we've been zocha to see a world where you could have millions and millions of human beings, perhaps billions, looking at Yom and saying Laila, and looking at Laila and saying Yom. Looking truth in the face, and based on either ideology, brainwashing, the need to be considered progressive and liberal, whatever that is inside of me, that could be fogging my understanding of this is evil, this is cruelty, this is achzarius, and this is good. This is truth. You see, mamish tov v'ra, Yom and Laila can be confused if a person is not able to be honest with themselves. They can be deluded. So the bracha is, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam, asher nosan l'sech vivina, you've implanted within me, within my heart, within my soul, understanding. It's all right there within me. Obviously, I have to want, and I have to think of ways of bringing it out to the surface where I could feel it deeper. But it's all there. Asher nosan l'sech vivina lehavchin ben yom uvein laila, to discern between truth and falsehood. All of that moral intuition is within me. And then when the Yesod v'Sharash Avoda, we'll end with this and we'll take questions. And then when the Yesod v'Sharash Avoda says, what do we have in mind during this first bracha? Meharoi la'adam bebracha zu, lahachnis simcha atzuma belibo. It's appropriate to have this incredible joy in one's heart. Al godel elokuso yisborach v'yisala benifloosav hagedolim. Just thinking about the incredible, wondrous, magnificent creation of Hashem. Shinosan belev basar shel adam kol kach seichel ubina, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu implanted within my heart. This incredible level, this depth of seichel and bina, lihisbonein sichlios niflos, to be able to appreciate his incredible bria. And I should think to myself, v'yismach belukusa yisborach shmo, simcha atzuma, and I should bring this message home that you gave me this ability. It's within me, and I could appreciate everything because it's part of who I am, and that concludes the Yesod v'Sharash Avoda, or at least that can bring this unparalleled feeling of joy. Ashreinu matov chelkeinu, just being conscious and knowing that I have so much within me that has this intrinsic understanding of truth. Thank you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
So this is great. It sheds light on. There's a Gemara in Eruvin. It says you could look at the creatures of the world and you could learn from them, right? The question is always like, well, why don't I learn cruelty from a lion or something like that?
Yes. Rabbi Safran is mentioning, right, the Gemara in Eruvin that says you could pick up so many wonderful qualities from the animal kingdom, even if the Torah was never given. So the kash is, okay, but I could also learn all sorts of terrible, aggressive qualities as well. The answer is because, no, the truth is within me. I'm not like just a blank slate trying to pick up, what should I do in this world? It's all there. So when I see truth, then it resonates. And I know, the tznius of a chatul, that midah of tznius is something that I connect with. Why do I connect with it? It's within me. Yes, beautiful. Yeah.
This discernment is always about the Jews. It seems like, the rabbi was talking about, people say day is night, night is day. I mean, that seems to be literally going around us at all times. So it seems like maybe, is that the rabbi is saying or implying going to have this type of discernment? And also, if that's the case, does that mean they're like honest? They can't help it. It seems their judgment they wouldn't be held accountable because they can't help it.
So, two wonderful questions. Regarding the first question, does this idea apply to all of humanity? I think the answer is yes. I think that's a simple understanding of the pasuk. Right? Asher nosan l'sechvi. The sechvi is the heart of all man. Regarding your second point, if someone is brought up, indoctrinated with some of these krum ideas by the time they're 2 years old, how accountable are they? That's a question regarding Bechira, and that's well above, I think, the scope of this discussion. But Lamaisa, all of that, those are all factors. I think, though, that we learn from this that to say that I'm totally excused to do the greatest evil because I was just swept along with society and the German culture of the time, that's not an excuse. Because Lamaisa, within you know truth. And there is some level of you choosing deliberately to ignore that truth. How accountable will you be? What madrega of Gehenna will someone who does evil things based on being brainwashed? That's only a Kadosh Baruch Hu's domain. I don't know. It's a good question, though. Yes?
I was thinking that I had the opportunity last month to be in a place where there are a lot of roosters. And they don't crow like early in the morning. They crow is more like 3:45 in the morning.
That's rough.
Okay, so it's more like, but I think maybe what it is like you said, it's instinctively we know that day is coming.
Ooh.
So we take this out from Eve. Eve is always look at as someone who goes through travails in life. So I think it's more of a thing of emunah. Some of the people that are in the concentration camps, the people that survive, tend to say, it's night now, but I know morning is coming.
Ooh, Shomrim Leboker.
So we're working with the person. That's what it knows that another day is coming. That's
Beautiful.
That's
Beautiful. Shkoyach Rabbi Say. Yes.
Why are we